Well, there we have it. We knocked out another one. Real nice results. Real good quality. Because that's just what I do. These small areas you have to do the drill method where you shoot straight down at the dirt. You're literally drilling it straight into the soil. As opposed to a big area, I'm shooting it out. I'm arcing it out there and letting it sprinkle down. Letting it sprinkle down like spirit fingers. The drill method is great because it sticks that seed in there deep. Some of those seeds shoot down about an inch deep. And that's great for germination. Really shows over the full week. You can tell by the days. As soon as it starts to germinate on day 5, day 6, day 7, day 8, you get more and more and more coming up. Really makes for a healthy lawn. We're going to put the time-lapse camera on this arbor post right here and have it shining out right over the lawn. And we're going to try to get a 2 to 3 week time-lapse footage of this. And we'll see what it looks like every 30 minutes over the next 2 weeks. But until then, it's beer time. In the words of Dan Aykroyd, it's time to consume mass quantities. And if you want good lawn, you gotta have good water. You really gotta have a good water system. Here we have perfect coverage in full shade. This whole lawn area is in full shade all day long. That's about as much sunlight as you get. A couple of filtered spots and a little bit out here. Same thing, we got that real good water coverage. Full shade, but we did a good job on the soil and a good job on the water. So this should germinate and grow in just fine. When there's nowhere for roots to grow, they grow where they can. And about the only spot they can is where you dug out your hole for your sprinkler. That's a maxi paw, and it is maxi stuck. It is not coming out of this root wad. But we have it replaced with the MP system, performing really well. Really good coverage out here. Way better than the old root maxi paw did. Well folks, it's day 10, and would you look at that? Wow, somebody knows how to do it. That looks pretty dang good. Weather's been very favorable. We started to see decent germination around day 5 to 6, and now on day 10, it actually looks like a lawn. It's still full shade here. Shade hasn't changed one bit. But the germination consistency looks really good. I can still see a few spots where it's got to fill in a little bit more. But for the most part, we're really doing well, especially for day 10. Usually we're waiting until about week 2 before we look like this. And when you look across it, boy, it really looks good when you look across it. But when we get on here real close and look straight down, it kind of tells the tale. We can see how it's coming in. What you're seeing is just over 10 pounds per thousand. We're probably about 11 pounds per thousand here, which is good for a shady environment. A little more in a shady environment is better than a little less. Let's see what we got going on down here. We can see the white roots, that's us, that's our grass. And you can see some of it got drilled down into the soil a little bit. That's my Hydroseed technique of shooting straight down into the soil. Looks like most everything is germinated. I'm not sure about that one right there. But I can see the white root coming out. So that was a higher one. But most everything is germinating. Here comes the sun. The sun just came out. There's a good example of a grass plant and the roots attached to it. But pretty impressive results, especially for 10 days. 3 to 4 weeks we should be mowing, and it should look like a real lawn in 3 to 4 weeks. Well, here we are at 2 weeks. It's been exactly 2 weeks. Last week our weather wasn't as favorable as it could have been. We had highs in the upper 60s to low 70s. And I would have liked to have seen that in the 80s for a little bit faster growth. But when we look straight down on it, most of our thin spots have filled in as compared to the 10-day image. We're overexposing a little once we hit the sunlight. Here we go, now it's greening up. But it's looking really sharp. Today was fertilizer day. Once you get good germination, you want to put down the fertilizer. You want to keep stimulating it to grow. With as much water as you give it to get the germination process to happen, you leach a lot out of the soil. So you want to replenish that. So make sure you fertilize within 2 weeks, and that'll keep us good and green and good and growing. We really want to push it to establish, and that'll get us mowing here in another week or so. I bet you we'll be mowing at the end of week 3. And hopefully our time-lapse camera over there on the base of the tree has been taking time-lapse photos for us. That'll make a real slick time-lapse video of the germination process. Well, it's week 3. Fertilizer's kicking in, things are looking good. We're just about ready to mow out here. We've got an average height of about 3 inches. Some spots were a little taller. So really looking good. Really filling in nice. Definitely ready to be mowed. Let's cut out a little sample here. The seed rate was plenty heavy. You can see that is not thin by any standard. That's definitely heavy. And we're rooting all the way down to the plug, so we're getting roots a good 3 inches deep. You can see the soil horizons, the topsoil that was used, and then the seed bed at the top that was used. This was a compost mix, 2/3 compost, 1/3 sand for our seed bed, and then just a basic topsoil at the bottom. The fertilizer will follow the water down. So the fertilizer is working its way all the way down to the soil level. And that encourages the roots to follow also. You don't want your roots sitting up here in that top inch. You want your roots going all the way down. And the fertilizer will help the roots follow it down. Well, it's week 6 today, and we're looking pretty good. The mower tracks are a sign of immaturity. The more it leaves mower tracks, you can tell it's not quite mature yet. As it matures, the mower tracks will be reduced. But it's really filled in nice, even in the shade areas. You can see the stippling of the mower tracks back in there. But it stays very heavy shade. The only sun is out here on the perimeter. Well, we have made it to week 9. And we're starting to look like a real lawn. We're just starting to show maturity now at week 8 to 9. One of the best ways to tell is the mower tracks don't stay present. Within 1 day of mowing, the mower tracks go away. The grass stands up and doesn't stay folded over anymore. Weeks 2 through 7, the mower tracks stayed present almost all week. The grass would stay folded over where the tire tracks went, where the mower went. But now we're at week 9 and that's no longer happening. The grass perks up the same day and the mower tracks vanish. You can tell it's due for a mowing and it's due for a fertilizing. Got to fertilize every 4 to 6 weeks when you're establishing a lawn. It was fertilized on week 2 and it was fertilized on week 8.5. Every 4 to 6 weeks you got to pour the fertilizer to it. You really got to push it to establish. Take a look at the other side. Same thing, really looking good. We've got a little bit of sun that filters through here, but it's mostly shade all day. Real heavy tree canopy through here. Hardly any sun gets through. Just a tiny bit during the morning. That's the most sun this lawn will ever see. My old man and I used to have a sod farm. and it took 10 to 12 weeks before we could have a batch of sod ready. We really pushed it hard. We injected our fertilizer every week, and a lot of maintenance. It got mowed every 3 days, and it got rolled once a week. So by week 10 to 12 it was ready for harvest. Let's get down in here real close and see what it looks like down in here real close. The trade lingo we use is it's beginning to tiller. You can see it's no longer a single-leafed plant. It's starting to fork, and that's a sign of maturity. It is no longer one single stem per seed. We have several blades emerging from one seed now. We are exactly 1 week in. This was hand-seeded and drilled in with the verticutter. Notice a little bit of the inconsistency in germination. That's usually from seed depth. There's a little bit of inconsistencies within the seed depth. It'll look inconsistent the first week or two, but by week 3 we'll get full germination, and the consistency will arrive around week 3. I use the term tillering generically. True tillering is when multiple stems arise from the same plant. This is true tillering right here, as compared to the leaf blades. What I was showing you was the plants growing new leaf blades. But we don't refer to this as blading. Kind of generic lingo, but on the sod farm we refer to this as tillering, and we refer to tillers as dividing. Kind of improper, but it's just on-site sod farm generic lingo we use. This is the textbook we use in college. Pretty good reference, but college was over 20 years ago, so there may be a thing or two I've forgotten since then.